Hi ladies, it is 11:15 p.m. Pacific time on Monday, April 22nd, Easter Monday 2019. I hope everybody had a good weekend / Easter weekend if you are about that Christ life. I wanted to actually film a video a couple days ago because I was super caught off guard / inspired by the season 1 finale of the original Twilight Zone, which we will circle back to. But it just didn't happen. But it's a good thing because there's like a bunch of other shit we can talk about too that's kind of built up in the interim. Built up in a good way. First things first, let's just do a quick shout out to Sunny for bringing Lyanna Mormont of Game of Thrones onto the news feed. I did so 2 years ago when she first popped up in season 7, but it's been a hot minute, and let's just take a minute to discuss the fact that this bitch is all of 15 in real life? 16? She's playing an 11-year-old character. She's had, all of 8 lines of dialogue over the course of 2 seasons, and she's managed to steal both seasons. No exception to the rule is season 8, episode 2, where this bitch just fucking tells Sir Jorah, no, I'm not going into the crypt with the women and the bitches and the children and the bitches. I'm going up and I'm gonna fight with the boys. And she just, shut his ass down, and Samuel Tarly was shooken, and there we are. If she were running for office, she'd have my votes. If I ever have a child that's not Sindel, male or female, I hope that I can only raise them to be like Lyanna Mormont. So, if you're not watching Game of Thrones, you can't be helped. Sorry. If you are also not familiar with Brené Brown, you probably can't be helped, but we're going to try and help you. Brené Brown is one of those authors / whatever you want to call them, gurus of the modern, postmodern, new age era. I don't fucking know. Oprah put her on blast, which helped catalyze her career, even though she had already had several books published. She's had TED Talks, and most recently the Netflix special, which I posted about in group tonight. If you don't know about Brené Brown, she's a perfect example of a bitch that has a foot in both worlds, meaning she was, prior to her current career, a professional and academic statistician. That's what she did. She was numbers. Quantitative. She had some sort of existential goings on, and then landed at this seed of what is vulnerability. And so every one of her books, what she's done thus far is about the science, the experience of, the practical application of, the spirituality of vulnerability, what that is, how to apply it, and the power behind it. Daring Greatly, Braving the Wilderness are just 2 of her titles that pop off the top of my head. But I would love to hear from anybody that's familiar with her or not, but especially those that are familiar with her or have read her books, that have watched the Netflix, and what do you think of it? To me it was a little bit watered down. It was a little bit of a distillation of her work, which makes sense. It's made for the mainstream, and she's already kind of adapted for mainstream digestion, if you will. She's not Crystal's, whatever, she's grounded. But yeah, I just can't recommend her work enough, and I would love to hear what everyone thinks of the Netflix special. And that brings me to point 3 on the agenda, which is neither myself nor Schmitty, aka Jordanto Figgy, and I'm gonna assume Sunny, we don't want to do all the heavy lifting as far as video content. I don't care if you're blackout drunk singing karaoke, film it. Film you and your bitches being silly. If you want to do a quick video intro of just who you are and what you're about, film it, post it. if you want to film a 45-minute vlog on who you are, what you're about, your politics, your religion, your stance on this, do it. Because a lot of things, as we've seen in real life and on women's group, with anything that's just text, can get lost in translation, right? So if we can put a face to a name instead of just like a face to like a profile picture, points for Gryffindor. And also just video content is obviously going to make us humanize each other more and engage more, because it's more dynamic than just posts or me binge posting Vice articles, which everyone loves, I know, but like, you know, I'm trying to pace myself. So please, like, film yourself, post it. We want to see you. We want to get to know you. I do, especially. I've been begging for this since 2014. So please, like, see this as an invitation, but also like a call to action. Like, everyone, I hope, who has joined this group has taken like a tight 2 minutes to read the description off to the right hand side, or watched some of the videos that also encapsulate what this group was designed to be, what my original intentions were, what Sunny has helped me to try and curate. But the idea is that we all own this space equally. Of course, there's 1,600 people-ish here. Maybe 100 are actively active, right, on a regular basis, if that. But even that is a lot of worldviews and paradigms and things that are like going to come crashing down. So it goes a long way, I think, if you take the time to film something so we can get to know each other, rather than just like be like these anonymous, you know, people that are trolling, you know, like, I'm not saying anybody's trolling, but you know what I'm saying. Like, there's that sense of safety and anonymity when you're behind the scenes. So like, bring yourself, like, you know, to the front of the stage and like, let's get to know each other. Anyways, I'll leave it at that, but that helps me segue into my next point, which is when we do have like the more controversial topics that come up, no matter like what side we fall on, I think we need to realize that we, you know, and I'll use the box analogy, which I think I have before, which is if there's 4 people standing on 4 sides of a box, looking at the box from the outside, each one is going to have their own reality, right? Like, I see this side of the box, you see this side of the box, you see that, you get it. We are all trying to get at truth with a capital T, which maybe we can use that, like, the box as the analogy, where truth with a capital T is the box itself, or what's inside the box. But we're all looking at the sides of the box, right? Like the various 4 planes of the box. So this is my reality, this is your reality, right? Like, they're totally not going to ever be meshed or like flush with one another, right? Like, I can see this, you can see this, neither of us can see what each other's looking at, but that's gospel to the both of us. So I think it's just important to remember, and this was a good reminder for me too, that there is a fine line in the sand. Like, there's this very subtle line of demarcation where like we stop having like critical debate, critical thinking, and like respectful debate, and move into like preaching or pushing our agenda, which I'm very guilty of, especially when it comes to stuff that's important to us, right? Like, we have to check ourselves before we check the other person, and just be aware that like, we're all bigots, we're all hypocrites. That's just the way it is. We all have biases. Like, there is no getting around that. Like, there is no not being prejudiced. We all are. So just being aware of it and owning it, and just checking ourselves when we start to feel like we're maybe crossing that line of like, I'm not just trying to like educate and inform and get, you know, your feedback, but I'm starting to preach, or I'm starting to like push my agenda. that's when people tune out, right? Like, if we really want to get somebody to, like, be on our side or engage with our cause, we can't preach. So I just want to just bring that to the forefront as a reminder to myself and to all of you. But that brings us to the grand finale, which is what originally made me want to film this video, the season 1 finale of the original Twilight Zone series. So Mama got a tight tickle up her ass to go back and rewatch the original Twilight Zone after Jordan Peele's remake of the Twilight Zone started airing on CBS, and I think there are 4 episodes in, and they're good. They're not as great as Jordan Peele is. I don't think they're measuring up. They're still really good, but it made me want to go back and watch. So I am halfway through season 2. Keep in mind, each season has 29 to 35 episodes. They're like 20-minute episodes, but still, it takes a hot minute to move through. The season 1 finale of Twilight Zone, I had never seen, and I've seen a lot of Twilight Zone. It is called A World of His Own. Now, I'm going to just touch on a couple points here. This caught me so off guard for 2 reasons. Number 1, it's fucking brilliant. It's Rod Serling. It's the pièce de résistance of the first seasons, right? But, like, it's not only... It's really difficult being in women's group to, like, not... Or, like, just being a feminist, to not, like, project that lens onto everything I watch. It's kind of, like, inevitable. Like, it's gonna happen, and it's impossible, almost, that, like, I won't go back and, like, look at things differently, whereas before coming to, like, this point in my life, like, I would never have even thought to look at something through this lens. And it's a good and a bad thing, because sometimes I'm just like, ugh, like, just watch the fucking show, like, it's brilliant, and it is. And if you just watch this episode, season 1 finale, season 1, episode 36, A World of His Own, just without any fucking political, socio-political lens, it's just fucking brilliant on its own. It's just science fucking fiction. But I'm also 36 years old, and I'm a female, and I'm a woman, and I run this group, and I can't help but, like, watch this, and, like, I was shooken by, like, I'm having a whole moment. Rod Serling was talking about gaslighting in 1959, okay? I don't know if he knew he was doing it. I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt and say that he did know. But even still, even if he didn't, the way this episode is written, edited, and this is the first show, film, movie, anything I've seen chronologically in terms of, like, things I've seen throughout cinema history, where you see the fourth wall being broken. This is the earliest thing that I've seen where the fourth wall is being broken, and it is brilliant. But I'm gonna play for you a couple of highlights, and you tell me if I'm a fucking crazy bitch. So the premise of this episode is there's a gentleman, and he's an author, and he does his he dictates into a dictaphone, and his characters come to life. Now, the episode opens with him sitting in his living room, and he's just talking to, like, this very beautiful blonde. And then you see this woman on the outside of the house looking in, a brunette, and you realize that, like, she's looking in on her husband and thinks that he's cheating on her because there's a blonde with her husband in her living room. So she confronts her husband and says, "Who is this bitch?" And the bitch is gone. When she walks in the door, like, she's vanished. And she thinks, like, he's either hidden her or, like, snuck her out. So she's confronting him. She's like, "I'm having none of this." So they're in the middle of the confrontations. I'm just going to play this. And I just want you to, like, see if you can, like, tell me if I'm crazy, but there's major keywords here.
On the agenda.
You've got to believe me, Victoria. Characters in my plays do come alive. I've seen them, I've talked to them, I've even shaken hands with them.
You even made love to them, remember?
Yes, I know. You know how I work.
So she was about to call the psychiatrist on him, and then he's like, no. I dictate into my dictaphone, and my characters come to light. Totally fantastic sci-fi premise, right? Like, we're rocking and rolling. And then I'm going to fast forward a little bit. Bear with me. I have my minutes here. Okay. She's still having none out of it. She's like, nah,